How's it hanging, everybody? You know me as the real kind of Mothra on Reddit, and I'm here to do something today. It's called a tier list. You ever heard of it? Great. So, like, around Reddit, I've, come across several Wu-Tang, rankings, tier lists, all that shit, but there's no, consensus agreement as to what, the best, worst albums are in order, and not many tier lists, actually, which is kind of surprising. So, today I'm gonna bite the bullet and rank all these. Now, I'm gonna be ranking the ones in this bar, so there's some that I haven't listened to and some that I have listened to, but my opinion is kind of divided. Like, I have no fucking clue where to put them, so they'll be going in here for now, and eventually I will come back and rank these alongside other albums not included in this template, but for now, it's just going to be these. Let's get it going. Start off with a top 5 rap album of all time, 36 Chambers. It's incredible. It's one of the few albums where there's not even a mid song on there. There's no bad songs. There's not even a mediocre song. It's all good songs. And the worst song is probably the finishing track, Seventh Chamber Part 2. And even that, it's only redundant in my opinion. It's not even bad. And every other song on this track listing slaps. It has my favorite song of all time, Method Man, by guess who? Method Man. Debatably the best posse cut in all of rap with Protect Your Neck. One of the best songs of all time in Cream. Not best Wu-Tang songs, not best 36 Chambers songs, not even best rap songs. Best songs of any genre of all time. Cream. And every member here, shines in their own way. Every single member has a good verse at some point. Even the ones without much exposure, like You God, Master Killer, the few verses they have slap. So, for those reasons, I definitely think that it's in heads and tails the best Wu-Tang album of any of the members, which has all the members, and one of the best rap albums of all time. Next up, we got Tikal. I'll put it in S tier, actually. I've been seeing some Tikal slander, and I don't get it. A lot of people are really not, accepting of Tikal. They think it's the worst of the first gen. I just don't get it. There's no bad songs on Tikal. And it has Bring the Pain. I wake up to Bring the Pain every morning. It's got Meth vs. Chef, which has one of Method Man's best verses. The production is a little rough around the edges in some places, although that's largely because the original version got lost in the flood and there's only a couple songs that are in their original state. It has Releasio Delph, I think that's how you pronounce it, where Method Man's first verse on that is crazy. In my opinion, one of the best verses of all time. He manages to rhyme every syllable at the end for the first verse, which is really impressive. When people say that Method Man's lyrics are mid, just show them Releasio Delph and watch them crumple to the ground. And it's just front to back bangers besides Biscuits. I think Biscuits is the only song that isn't great on this album, and it's not bad. It's just not exceptional. So for those reasons, I think it's S tier. One of my favorite albums of all time, to be honest. Return to the 36 Chambers. I'll put it in A tier for now. In my opinion, it's the weakest of the first 5 in the first gen. Because, the thing is, this album starts amazing, you know? I don't, not on the offset, because like the intro is kind of lame, but then you get 5 back-to-back bangers. You Shimmy Shimmy Yaw. Everyone loves Shimmy Shimmy Yaw. Baby Come On, pretty underrated track. One of my favorite songs of all time in Brooklyn Zoo. Hippa to the Hoppa is a banger. And Raw Hide has one of my favorite Method Man verses and Raekwon verses. But after like track 6 or 7, after Damage, the album does start to wane a little, at least in my opinion, because it's where there's still some good songs here and there, like Dirty Dancing, Protect Connect 2, but as a whole, it begins to pale in comparison to like the first third. If the whole album had the same quality as the first third, then it'd be like up here, or like at the very least top of the S. But the problem is that it doesn't, and because of that, I'll put it in an A for now. Although some people do put it above Tikal, I personally don't. I might just be like enthusiastic about Tikal, but Return to the 36 Chambers isn't bad by any means. Like I know I've been listing a few negatives about it, but it's a solid album that if you have the time, you should give a chance. Liquid Swords, I'll put it in S tier above Tikal. It's obviously an amazing album. Like, there's a reason that the GZA is like one of the most acclaimed members in retrospect, because like his lyricism and the way he flows is great, obviously. But I don't think that it's one of the best albums of all time, like everyone else is saying. Because obviously, I mean, like, there's great tracks, obviously, like Shadowboxing. Shadowboxing is excellent. Although that is admittedly because Method Man's verses were crazy. But there was also Bible, there was Fourth Chamber, which gave us a really good Ghostface verse and a Killer Priest verse. The opening to this track is one of the best of all of rap, Liquid Swords. Although I do kind of wish that they kept the intro and the verses separate instead of being in the same song, but like that's a nitpick. And in his verses, such as like GZA's one on Fourth Chamber, Duel of the Iron Mike, even his one on Shadowboxing, like his lyricism is crazy. It's just, I don't think that it's crazier or more revolutionary than the albums I'm going to have above it, which, spoilers, is not much. I'm not putting much above Liquid Swords or Tikal, but yeah, they're chilling in S tier for the time being. This is one of the few that I will be putting above them. Only Built for Cuban Links. Top 20 rap album of all time, by the way. If this album was never made, Mafioso Rap would be dead for like 20 years. I think what Raekwon did was incredible. Like, he has all-time classic songs. He has Ice Cream. Ice Water, Verbal Intercourse, has what is in contention for like the best verse of all time. Nas's verse went hard on that. Criminology was a banger. Incarcerated Scarfaces. North Star, I think that was like a bonus track, but it was a banger. And Wu Gambino's was also crazy. Method Man's verse on that, Jesus. And this album is also helped by like the Ghostface Killer co-star, you know, because some of Ghostface verses do go crazy. Like his verse on Guillotines was amazing. His verse on Ice Water was crazy, and Cap's verse on Ice Water. I love Capadonna on this album. It has one of his best verses in Ice Cream. So, S tier. Iron Man's definitely S tier. But I don't know whether to put it above or below Liquid Swords. I'll put it I like Iron Man more, but if we're thinking objectively, then I'll put it below. It's an incredible album. Like one of the has Winter Wars, which is one of the best Wu songs. Period. Capadonna's verse still sends shivers down my spine to this day. And right after that comes Wu Will Survive, which has one of my favorite Method Man verses. If you couldn't tell, I really like my Method Man. The opening to it is incredible. Like towards the end, I think all I Got Is You, that song with Mary J. Blige, that song was incredible. An incredible album all around, which is something you're going to be hearing quite a bit from Ghostface. Wu-Tang Forever. I think this is like the last of the first gen. Came out in 97. I'll put it in... Yeah, I'll put it in an S tier. Why not? Because, like, Wu-Tang Forever, the thing is, it's good. It's a great album. However, it has, like, its lows are probably lower than any other album on here. You know? It's a double disc album, so it is kind of bloated. And unlike 36 Chambers, which a lot of people compare it to, Wu-Tang Forever has some bad songs. Like, when you look at the discography that I'm putting above it, 36 Chambers has no bad songs. Only Built for Cuban Links has no bad songs. Liquid Swords has no bad songs. Iron Man... again, has, like, no bad songs, but if you include Box in Hand, that got taken off. I wasn't, like, the biggest fan of Box in Hand, but then again, it's literally, like, off the album. So, I guess no bad songs. And even to Cal, like, Biscuits is the worst song on Cal, and even then, it's like a 7 out of 10 song. It's not bad. But Wu-Tang Forever is, like, plagued with inconsistency, especially in its second half. Like right off the bat, the album starts not that great. Like Wu Revolution, I don't need 6 minutes of Papa Wu monologuing about something. Like I skip that every time I come back to this album. But right after that is Reunited, and Reunited is a top 10 Wu song. And specifically in the second half, there's Black Shampoo, which was like You God's solo track, which was plain bad. Straight up. It was like a 3 out of 10 bad song. But those are the only two. Wu Revolution and Black Shampoo are the only two, like, 3 out of 10s. Like, there's a couple of, like, not amazing tracks sprinkled throughout, like, particularly in the second disc, like Second Coming, like, it's just generic R&B song Teehee. But the highs of this album are also really high. Not as high as 36 Chambers, but there's Reunited, which I already brought up. There's another contender for, like, the best posse cut of all time, and Triumph. As high as Wu-Tang get. Impossible, Ghostface verse on Impossible was one of our first hints towards the insane storytelling he has. Cash Still Rules, which isn't as good as its prequel Cream, but still a pretty great song. For Heaven's Sake has one of my favorite Deck verses. Deadly Melody. I like Master Kill on that song. Like, the highs are really high. The problem is that this album has, like, actual lows, and those lows are really low. But even through that, like, in spite of its lows, I still think it's S tier. Moving on, to Cal 2000 Judgment Day. This is where the albums begin to slowly dip in quality. Because, like, obviously the group peaked in the first gen, but in the second gen, there's, like, a noticeable dip. It's not, like, big enough to where all the albums become, like, bad or even, like, mediocre. Like, there's good albums, but it's something that'll plague the second and third gens. Like, Tikal 2000, I'll put it in, like, bottom of A. It's a good album. It's bloated with skits. That's my biggest problem with the album. Like, there's so many skits, it's unreal. But if you take out all the skits and just look at the songs, you got great songs. You got Judgment Day, top 10 Method Man song. You got Big Dogs, Torture, Party Crasher, Sweet Love. Lots of good songs in here. Like, not much is gonna be, like, beat the highs of the first Tikal, but its highs are still decently high. It's a great album. Without the skits, especially. Bobby Digital in stereo. I'll put it like middle of A. It's a good album. It's just like not RZA's best. Although I am a sucker for NYC Everything. That's one of my favorite songs from him. Just not much to say, honestly. It's just a solid album. Uncontrolled Substance. B tier. Like, it's not bad. It's not bad. I do like Grand Prix, but it could have been so much better, you know? This was not Deck's finest outing. Like, that's a problem with Deck in general. Like, he's probably the most screwed over member of the clan. Because, like, his first album was supposed to come out much earlier than 99, but it got lost in that flood. And then when he puts out Uncontrolled Substance, it's just decent. It sucks, you know? I feel for him, but in its current state, it's not the greatest album. Like, Deck is someone who shines on, like, the group albums, you know? This is also a problem that, like, Method Man has to a certain extent after, like, 2006, but where these two are excellent on the albums. They're the two best clan members on the group albums, but when they make solo albums, you can see their quality, like, faltering. Beneath the Surface, solid album. I've only listened to it once, but from what I've listened to, it's like an A-tier album. Once again, like, you gotta hand it to there's a reason he's called a genius. Blackout. I don't know why this counts, but I'll put it at bottom of S. Blackout is pretty great, actually. Like, obviously, you got The Rock Wilder, Tear It All. Like, the bonus tracks I don't know if you should count the bonus tracks at the end, but, like, How High and Big Dogs. I will say, Big Dogs suits Blackout more than it does Judgment Day. Which is kind of weird to say. But, yeah. And then there's, like, Serial Killer. There was that track with the Ghostface that I really enjoyed. Just overall, really great album. Immobilarity, I think this may be our only C-tier album. Like, Immobilarity was bad. Straight up. I listened to it the first time, and it was one of the first albums that made me go, what the hell did I just listen to? Like, Immobilarity just wasn't that great, which sucks to say, because Raekwon has put out much better music before and after this album. Which we'll get to in a bit, but for now, let's... The W. Whoops. I'll put it at top of A. Not quite an S tier album, but I don't get it when people say like this is the era where Wu-Tang fell off. Like W's still pretty good. Like I love Gravel Pit. I love Protect Your Neck to Jump Off. Red Bull is good. I like the Redman and Method Man verses on there. I do like Conditioner. And it's kind of sad that this is the last appearance of ODB on a Wu-Tang album. But it's an alright send-off for him, I guess, even though he was incarcerated. Gravediggers. Yeah, I'll put it at like top, near the top of A. If RZA had if RZA had stuck to his rhyme scheme in this album, he'd be a lot better. He'd be a lot higher in my like listings of the members, which is probably gonna be another topic for the future. But after, like, I like him on 36 Chambers, and I like him on Gravediggers. He's okay on Bobby Digital and Stereo, and then after that, like, his rhyming's kind of whack. I'm sorry, but that's just what I think. Supreme Clientele. Excuse me. Same thing with Liquid Swords. Obviously, it's an incredible album. It's going in S tier, but when people say that it's one of the best albums of all time, I don't get it. That being said, I'm putting it in S tier. I'll put it below Iron Man. I think Iron Man's better. Because, like, obviously, like, Supreme Clientele is excellent. But I just wouldn't put it in, like, my top 20 or top 30 rap albums of all time. But still, like, Nutmeg was crazy. Buck 50 was really good. Saturday Night. Like, Mighty Healthy. I don't know why these names keep evading me, but Mighty Healthy might be Ghostface's best track, like, of all time. Supreme Clientele is an excellent album. I don't think that it's as good as some people say it is, but still, like, a really good album. I'm not gonna let its perception tank that for me. Iron Flag. See, this is the album people bring up when they say, "Oh, Wu-Tang fell off," but bottom of A. I mean, there's some forgettable tracks on there, but I like Rules, Chrome Wheels. I especially do like Uzi, Pinky Ring. But, like, the absence of ODB and Capadonna really hurt this album, too. But back to some highs. Fish Scale? This might be a little controversial, but Fish Scale's going in S. Below Tikal, above Wu-Tang Forever. Fish Scale was really good. Which, like, given the time that it released, is kind of surprising. But, like, this is where like, Ghostface started. This is where, like, Ghostface's legacy as the most consistent member came into fruition. Because, like, Fish Scale was released well after the second era, and it's still crazy. Like, Shaky Dog, his storytelling on Shaky Dog is really good. There's 9 Milli Bros, a really good posse cut. There was the track with, I'd say one of this album's weaknesses was that track with Big's verse on Brothers Bleed, because I don't like it when artists do that. They take other rappers' verses out of context and use it for, like, their own song. I don't like what they did on that song, but it's not a bad song. There was, and besides that, like, it's still front to back bangers, even with that song. There's like Be Easy. I think that was the track with Ice Cube. That song was fire. And that's the energy that's kept throughout the whole album. Which, like, on a whole, I like Fishgale. S tier album. Might be controversial, but, yeah, my opinion. All About for Cuban Links Part 2. S tier or A tier? Like, this was a really good album. But it's not as good as the first. I don't know where to put it. It could be anywhere from like here to here. I'll meet in the middle. I'll put it like in S. I'll put it bottom of S. Like, again, props to Raekwon for channeling his inner mafioso. Because there were some really good tracks on this album. Like, the new Wu. I bumped the new Wu like once a day. And lastly, like, this video is already like 26 minutes, so Blackout 2. I'll put it top of B. It's not a bad album, but it's just I don't know. It didn't live up to the hype for me, I guess. I mean, there was Ayo. That track was fire, but other than that, there wasn't anything like that blew me away. Which is unfortunate because this is one of my favorite duos of all time, Method Man and Redman. So this is the whole list. In retrospect, I'd probably put Iron Flag in B tier. And yeah, because when you compare it, it's not bad, but when you compare it to everything in A tier, it's not as good. And I'd probably put Return to 36 Chambers above Grave Diggers. Like, I know I slandered that a lot, and people are going to be upset at me for it, but it's a good album. Just, I think it's a little overrated. So, yeah, here's the tier list. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and let me know what other like lists I should do. I'm planning to do one where I'm ranking every member individually, and I may go into like other artists, other rappers. But let me know what you think. Goodbye.